2, civilization is at least 2 times older than traditionally acknowledged. We are not at the peak of progression of history. We are living at the end of a 5th cycle. There have been 4 world ages before us. So ice core samples, for example, which are like the historical library of the Earth, are confirming what many native traditions have said for thousands of years. There are several discoveries now of sophisticated cultures that have existed long before the Sumerians of 5,000 years ago. In northern Peru, there's an ongoing excavation of a site known as Caral. It's a massive 150-acre site with 5 pyramids, large temples, and 2 enormous stone circular plazas laid out with extreme precision. We know hardly anything about this mysterious civilization, yet it has been dated now to have ended around 5,000 years ago, when history books and the media tell us we were just beginning. In fact, according to 3 independent laboratory tests, it may be as old as 7,000 years. Mainstream media will likely report different dates. It is the oldest known site in the Americas and has given rise to the Mayans and the Incas.
There's a couple of other sites of interest as well. One is the Great Sphinx in Egypt. It's now thought to be at least 7,000 years old. Other scientists, in fact, think it's at least 50,000 or as much as 50,000 years old. Either way, this is turning the historical timeline as we know it completely on its head. Another site is the Gulf of Kambat in India. This is a bunch of ruins underwater, which is thought to be the lost kingdom of Dwarka, belonging to Lord Krishna. So very fascinating and very ancient sites.
Yeah, the oldest known and scientifically accepted site in the world is a place called Gobekli Tepe in Turkey. This site dates back between 11,000 to 12,000 years. Through satellite imaging, we now know that there are 15 to 20 large circular temples, only 5 of which have actually been excavated. There are monolithic T-shaped thin pillars that are now believed by some to be like tuning forks, which vibrate at a specific frequency. What's just as amazing is that it was intentionally, this whole complex was intentionally buried and infilled around 8,000 years ago. Just like the pyramid in Bosnia, which we'll cover on another show.
Number 3, the field influences us and we influence the field. Quantum physics has proven that we do, in fact, affect matter through our consciousness. Now, most people know that the moon causes not only the tides in the ocean, but also affects us emotionally and biochemically in many ways. The Institute of Heart Math has proven through EKG and EEG machines that our heart is in fact 100 times stronger electrically and 5,000 times more powerful magnetically than the brain. The heart sends more signals to the brain, in fact, than the brain sends to the heart. So who is really running the show? It's the heart. It's not something that most people realize.
Number 4, space is not empty. Our heart is connected to the magnetic field that connects the planet with all living things. Beyond this, there's the concept of entanglement, which shows that at the core of the atom, the proton is actually entangled to every other at some degree. What we used to think of as empty space is actually an intelligent and immense energy that connects all things. The force exists. In fact, George Lucas got his ideas primarily from his friend, the brilliant master of mythology, Joseph Campbell, who knew all of this.
Number 5, Darwin was wrong. Sorry, Darwin. We know now that humans did not slowly evolve over time like some creatures and plants. Darwin specifically said that if that were found to be true, then his whole theory would fall apart. He admitted that it wasn't logical, but that he used his imagination to come up with this theory that nature was based on the survival of the strongest. He used the example of his observations of a few creatures in the Galapagos to infer this so-called law of nature, which has had devastating consequences to life on the planet since then. Science is now showing that the fundamental preferred behavior is cooperation, not competition. This is a big difference. Right? A prime example is the intricate, harmoniously cooperative, and unimaginable synchronicity that happens among the 50 trillion cells that make up our body. If there's a communication breakdown, the body starts to break down until it can repair itself again.
We know that the field influences us, but what science has just now discovered, even though the mystics and the ancient teachers knew this long ago, is that we influence the fields through the feelings generated in our hearts. So we actually affect the planet. So what can we do with all this? If we have a new perception of ourselves and how we relate to each other and the planet, we can dramatically change how we interact and the solutions we come up with. Gregg says that the Institute of Heart Math is showing through their research that the simple act of connecting with the feeling in our hearts and then projecting that outward to all things, we affect the planet on an energetic level, which then translates eventually into physical effects too. It's all connected.
Obviously, we don't have enough time to cover and back up all of the statements that we've just made here. Gregg has so much wisdom and information to share that we've really just scratched the surface. You've got to check him out though. You can check out videos on Scott's website, Cafe Namaste, or on Gaiam TV. I think that's a great link as well to check out. Scott will throw up a link for you. Either way, check him out. He's got some great answers, great information that really address some of the biggest questions that we've ever faced.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Ryan.
Always a pleasure, Scott. Thanks for having me.
You bet. I look forward to the next one. And thank you so much for joining us today. And if you do us a favor now and give us a like and maybe share this video with your friends, we'd really appreciate it.
Take care, guys. See you next time.
Namaste.